Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for joining. It's one of those um, very unprecedented and situation we are in. I would like to invite Dr. Jayesha, our past president, and Dr. Rajan Ramamurthy, both from San Antonio. She is the past BOT chair, to moderate this session. Dr. Shah and Dr. Ramamurthy, please take it over.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh Reddy, President Rapan, for giving the opportunity to moderate this session. I'd like to welcome on stage United States Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy on the Zoom.
Raja Krishnamurthy.
Congressman Ramamurthy, who would like to share his best wishes and prayers for our physicians and first responders. Dr. Congressman Krishnamurthy, are you online?
Everybody, yes, I am. Hi, everybody, and I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you to Suresh and Dr. Shah and Dr. Ramamurthy for inviting me, and thank you to everybody who's participating. I'm so honored to be able to speak for a minute and just greet everybody. I just want to say thank you, first of all, to all of you for everything that you are doing for your patients, for your community, and your country. What you're doing in helping people right now to cope with this situation is indeed the most patriotic duty that you're exercising in guaranteeing the welfare and health of our nation. I also want to say a special thank you to all those Indian American doctors who are working today. My wife, as you know, is an anesthesiologist. The joke is that we both put people to sleep, but she just got off a 12-hour shift at her hospital. And for me, this is a personal issue, not just an academic one. Finally, I want to tell all of you that I am here for you. Whatever you need from me or my office, we are here for you, whether that is assistance with any policy issue or lawmaking in Washington, D.C., or whether it's economic assistance in this time when not only we have a health crisis, but we have an economic crisis as well. So all that being said, I just want to say a special thank you to all of you. Thank you to spiritual leaders who will be leading the group in prayers. God bless all of you, and thank you again for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy. Dr. Ramamurthy, will you like to say something about significance of lighting a lamp?
Namaste, good afternoon. Dear colleagues, may I begin with a Sanskrit mantra. Shubham karoti kalyana arogyam dana sampada shatru buddhi vinashaya deepa jyotir namostute. I fold my hands before the light that brings health, prosperity, and auspiciousness. It destroys hostile, unkind feelings. To that light, I bow. In many cultures, it is a tradition to light a lamp first before starting any auspicious event. Light symbolizes the absence of darkness and grief and unhappiness. The lamp of knowledge is the official symbol of the nursing profession and of higher education in the United States. Therefore, we begin this auspicious moment by lighting the lamp in our faith traditions with hope in our heart and prayer in our mind for the grace and compassion of a higher consciousness. May I end with a child's prayer, an Urdu poem by Muhammad Iqbal. लब पे आती है दुआ बनके तमन्ना मेरी, जिंदगी शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाए मेरी। दूर दुनिया का मेरे दम से अंधेरा हो जाए, हर जगह मेरे चमकने से उजाला हो जाए। My longing comes to my lips as a supplication, O Lord. May, like the beauty of the candle, be the life of mine. May the world's darkness disappear through the life of mine. May every place light up with the sparkling light of mine. Thank you, Dr. Shah.
Thank you, Dr. Ramamurthy. Everyone who's on the Zoom video, please have a lamp, candle, incense, or any other things that can be lit as per your tradition. At this point, I will introduce all the spiritual leaders so we can know that all the honorable spiritual leaders who are with us. We have Bahi Mohinder Singh, head priest at Illinois Sikh Community Center. Please say hello. Father Edward Chaco, currently serving as priest and president of St. Mary's Orthodox Church, Oak Lawn, Chicago. Mufti Ahmad Rabbani, serving at the Islamic Association of Greater Detroit as a religious leader and associate Imam Rabbi David Levy, director of New Jersey region of American Jewish Committee, and Lama St. John, serving as a director and resident Lama of Tibetan Buddhist Temple in Chicago. We also have Nissam Rubin from Indian Jewish Association of USA. At this point, I would like everyone to light the lamp, and we'll ask our president, Dr. Suresh Reddy, to light a lamp on behalf of API, and all spiritual leaders to light the lamp at the same time. While we are doing this right now, let's do that. We'll have Dr. Devraj Nayak to get ready with the prayers. Let's get the lamp on the screen. Everybody, please. Okay, while we lamp the light.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The meaning is, Om, may all be happy, may all be free from illnesses, may all see what is auspicious everywhere, and may no one suffer. Om, peace, peace, peace. Thank you.
Is representing coalition and Seva International in San Antonio. Now we will have Miss Ila Maldia representing Gain Faith to say universal.
Hello everybody. I'm going to recite Jain Mahamantra and then give you a short explanation. Om Namo Harihantanam. Om Namo Kitanam. Om Namo Hariyanam. Om Namo Uvachayanam. Namo Loe Tavasahunam. Eso Panchanamokaro Savapava Panasano Mangalanam Cha Sauvesim Paramam हवये मंगलम Paramam Havaye Mangalam. Naukar Mahamantra is the core prayer of Jain religion in Prakrit. I bow down to Arihantas and seek inspiration from those souls who, having gained total victory over themselves, have shown us the path to liberation. I bow down to Siddhas and seek inspiration from all perfect, pure, and liberated souls. I bow down to Acharyas and seek inspiration from the heads of the religious orders. I bow down to Upadhyayas and seek inspiration from the teachers of the scriptures. I bow down to sadhus and sadhvis and seek inspiration from all the ascetic monks and nuns in the world. My salutations and acts of humility towards these 5 types of great souls will help diminish and destroy all my sins. May the virtues of these 5 entities guide me to progress spiritually and achieve the goal of total salvation, freedom from the cycle of life and death.
At this point, in orders shown in the program, we'll request all spiritual leaders to say a small prayer. When it is your turn, we'll start with Bahi Mohinder Singh.
I'm saying this prayer from the Holy Scripture, Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. He Pran Nath Govinde, Kirpa Nidhan Jagat Guru, He Sansar Taap Harne, Harname Sab Dukh Haro. He Saran Jog Deyale, Dina Nath Maya Karu, Srir Swast Khin Samay, Simrant Nanak Am Damodar Madhave. Meaning, O Lord of the universe, Master of the breath of life, Treasure of mercy, Guru of the world, O destroyer of the fever of the world, embodiment of compassion, please take away all our pain. O merciful Lord, potent to give sanctuary, Master of the meek and humble, please be kind to us. Whether this body is healthy or sick, let Nanak meditate in remembrance on you, O Lord. Thanks.
Abik Chako.
Hello.
Mr. Chako.
Hello for the prayer in English. Almighty and powerful, you are rich in mercy, and with careful wisdom direct our lives. Listen to and receive our prayer. Bring an end to this new infectious disease, this new pandemic, just as you averted punishment for your people throughout the ages. You are the true physician of our souls and bodies. Grant restored health to those who have been seized by illnesses, raising them from their bed of suffering, so that they may honor you and glorify you. Preserve in health those who have not been affected, and by your grace continue to bless and strengthen and preserve all those who out of love and sacrifice care for the sick, either in their homes or in the hospitals. Remove all sickness and suffering from your peoples, and teachers to value life and health as gifts from you. Give us your peace, O God, for our hearts with unflinching faith in your protection, hope in your health and love for you, and our neighbors, who it is to have mercy on us and save us, O Great One. Amen.
Amen.
Mufti Ahmed Rabbani. Thank you, Father Chako. Imam Mufti Ahmed Rabbani. While we are waiting on him, can we get Rabbi David Louie?
Sure. Our God and God of our ancestors, we pray that the scourge of disease will soon disappear. May those afflicted know only strength and wholeness. May their families, lovers, and loved ones know words of comfort. May their hearts know only to hope. Grant wisdom and insight to the scientists and researchers. May their efforts result in the vaccines and cures so desperately needed to end this crisis. Grant strength to the physicians, nurses, and others who provide compassionate care. May you watch over them and keep them as they watch over those battling for their lives. Grant comfort and solace to the bereaved. May they know our caring presence despite the physical distances that separate us. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, may the one who blessed our ancestors bless us and swiftly send us all a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen.
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 Okay. Can we have Lama C. Jones?
Yes. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from the suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the highest bliss, which is without suffering. May they abide in the great impartiality, free from attachment and aversion, free from those near and far.
Thank you.
Thank you. While we are waiting on Mufti Ahmed Rabbani, is there anyone in the audience who would like to say Muslim Islamic prayer? There is, please, if you raise hand, we will be able to unmute you. You can put it on the chat or on the Zoom video. We'll be able to find out who it is and we'll be able to get the prayer going. While we're waiting for him to join, we'll continue the program. Dr. Ramamurthy.
It is now my pleasure to introduce to you the leadership of the American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin. Dr. Seema Arora is the chair of the AAPI Board of Trustees. Dr. Sudhakar Jonnalagadda is the president-elect of AAPI. Dr. Anupama Gotimukula is the vice president of AAPI. To Dr. Jay Shah.
And I'd like to introduce Dr. Sajni Shah, who is the chair-elect of Board of Trustees, Dr. Yasmin Ansari, the regional director of AAPI, Dr. Birendra Marwa, who is a past convention chair for Chicago 2003, and Mr. Nassim Rubin, Indian Jewish Association of United States. Thank you all the panel members, but before we go to the panel discussion, we will really, at this point, we would like to kind of end the lamp lighting ceremony with observance of minute of silence for the thousands of lives lost. Dr. Rajam Ramamurthy, will you like to call for a minute of silence?
Yes. Let's all fold our hands and bow our heads for 1 minute of silence. Begin. Thank you. Dr. Shah.
We will like to keep in our mind and heart physicians we know who are critically ill. I'm going to mention names of the API leaders and physicians who has given us permission to do prayers on their behalf today. Dr. Ajay Lodha, past president of AAPI, and Dr. Anjana Samadar, past treasurer of AAPI, are critically ill, and we like to say prayers for them and thousands of other physicians, nurses, and other healthcare professionals who are in the front line, who are ill and admitted to hospitals, who are expecting the birth of a baby, and all humanity whose lives are drastically altered by the current pandemic. I would like to add one more name, Dr. Sunil Mehra. So we'll do that. These are the only three we have the permission to name at this point. So we know there are thousands other who are suffering. So we'll make another minute of silence, Dr. Ramamurthy.
Let's begin. Please. Thank you.
All right, I will start the panel discussion at this point. Before we start, I'd like to ask one more time if Mr. Mufti Ahmad Rabbani is on. Yes, he is online. We would like you to recite prayers first. Can we hear him? Yes. We can't hear audio. Can we get the audio for Vijaya? Can we get audio for him, or he will have to speak on the phone?
Yeah, I think he muted his audio, looks like.
Can we call him? Have you unmuted him, please?
He joined on the video. Audio is there.
Yeah, now is fine.
Can we help him? We continue the program as Vijaya. Can you help him backline? We'll continue the program, and once he joins, we will have his prayers and we'll interrupt the discussion at this point. So I'll ask all the panel members. So can you start your questions?
He's back.
Okay, he's back. Let's see the audio is working.
Mr. Rabbani is on the line.
Yes, wonderful. Mr. Rabbani, thank you for joining. We'd like to hear your prayers first. Can you start? We can hear you, Mr. Rabat. Go ahead. The prayers, please.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Yes, we all start by praising Almighty God. He's the one who controls lives, and He's the one who controls everything, and the sustainer of this world. We praise Him, and we beseech His help in every matter of our life, and we seek refuge in Him from all type of calamities and all type of difficulties, all type of stress we go through, and especially in this case, the pandemic we are going through, the whole nation, the whole humanity is facing. May God remove this from us, and may God give us the relief from this. Thank you very much.
We are also missing our Swami from Vivekanand Association of Illinois. And Dr. Ram Santi wants to do a prayer. Is he online?
He's on the phone.
Okay. If he wants to, please start the prayer. We can't hear him. I think we are not able to hear him, so we'll just move forward. There are a lot of prayers on the chat room, and I'm going to say on behalf of him, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pustivardhanam Urvaku Kamiva Bandhanam Mrityo Ma Moksaya Mamarita. Okay, with that, I will go with the panel discussion, and I'll ask the moderators to start. The panelists to start. Dr. Simon Arora will ask the first question to Bahi Mohinder Singh.
So my question is to Bahi Mohinder Singh. What role has your faith leadership played in helping your faith community during COVID-19 pandemic?
Our Sikh community, our Sikh volunteers have been actively involved with the Salvation Army, feeding more than 250 people at each event, supporting families in need food and groceries, and doing food drops at homeless shelters. They are also making well-being calls to the seniors members and elderly community, providing both time and medical assistance. Our member volunteers can be reached at SRS COVID-19 help at srs.chicago.org. Let me repeat, SRS COVID-19 help at srschicago.org. And there are a lot of prayers are going. We are doing Guru Granth Sahib Ji Path online. There are about 60 people. They are continuously reading Holy Scripture, Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji. We have simultaneously, continuously started 2 Sahaj Path, it's called. We are reading continuously to pray to the Almighty Lord.
Jayesh, you're muted.
Are you muted? Did you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
No, Jayesh, we cannot hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Can you please, at this point, this question that was asked by Dr. Arora can be answered by all the spiritual leaders. So we'll ask Rabbi David Louis next.
Sure, just briefly, the Jewish community all over the country are involved in a variety of ways of helping one another and helping others. I think the thing that I've been most touched by is synagogues all over the country in terms of taking care of our own faith community, which to that question, have been using things like Zoom and Facebook to keep their communities connected despite the social distancing. And I think as powerful as this disease has been upon people's hearts and their souls, so has the distancing that it's caused, and being able to bring people together as a community and be able to share their love and care with each other, I think is really important. Finally, I would point to my organization, AJC, at ajc.org/beamensch, MENSCH, has created an online social media project to publicize the good works being done not just by Jewish groups, but by groups from all faiths across the US to help each other and help first responders and help our doctors, our nurses, and our other healthcare people. And I think it's really important that so much good work is happening all over the country that we share it and bring some of the light that comes from that in the midst of all of this darkness.
I would like to ask the same question from Father Abi Chaco. Father Chaco. Father Chaco, unmuted.
Thank you. Along the same lines of what Rabbi David said, it's very important to keep our connection to the people. And we've noticed that indeed, like, even though everybody has called this idea of social distancing, it's actually, we want to maintain our physical distance, but to maintain our social contacts and our visibility to the people has been something that's been very important. To be able to continue to those relationships that we've already established in the community, and to reach out and finding the relationships that we need to establish in order to find people that are, especially in the senior group, especially in the immigrant community, there's a tendency to keep to themselves, and even when they need help, they're not able to find the help that they need, whether it's simple things like shopping or even getting the medication. It's important that we get that help to them. So we've been trying our best to reach out to those kind of people, and just to, especially during this week of Holy Week, we in the Christian church as a whole celebrates Easter, and not to be able to go to church and not to be able to participate in the services. We shut down our worship centers weeks ago, but we've been doing virtual prayers, and we've been, the priests themselves have been joining together in the church, offering the prayers they would normally without any of the public participation. But keeping tabs on the membership is very important, and to maintain those relationships. So that's very much been at the forefront of what we've been trying to do. So.
Thank you, Father Chaco. Lama Sean Jones, could you please take the same questions and say a few words?
Sure. In line with that, we have also, many of the lamas in our tradition have been doing online prayers, broadcasting from our host monasteries. Our main one in the United States is in New York, and we've been broadcasting pujas and teachings. Some of the local lamas like myself have done Zoom teachings and also discussions to keep in contact with members who need spirituality more now than ever. Also, some of our leadership in India, the Jawan Karmapa, has donated to the governments of Sikkim and India to also help with the pandemic there. And so trying to support the healthcare effort. And by extension, also supporting the spiritual needs of all people going through this together.
Thank you, Lama Jones. Mufti Hafiz Ahmad Rabbani, could you please say a few words regarding the same question?
Regarding along these lines, we're doing the same thing like community, or has been closed for 1 minute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We also have closed our masjid like about almost a month now. And I would say more than a month. More than a month we have closed our masjid. But like we do our lectures online, and regarding the helping the community and the local community, we are gathering food and these kind of things. And especially we are sending some supplies to the people who are working in the front line, especially the doctors and the nurses, and trying to provide them and comfort them, because they are putting their lives on, it is basically some volunteers from the community, young volunteers. They are also buying the groceries and trying to reach to the people who cannot buy, who cannot come out, and they're elderly people, and they're taking care of, and all these type of things going on a community level. Our prayers are, being individual, but lectures are going online.
Thank you very much. Is Swami Ishtamananda here now?
Nanda Swami is here, so we'd like to hear from him, and he can start with prayers because we missed his prayers. Is Swami, I heard he's online, he's already in. But you can move on, Seema. Once he joins, we'll get him in. Yeah.
So on the lines, could Rabbi David, could you please say a few words?
I already spoke to this one.
No, it's Lama Jones is the next. Oh, here it is. We have a Swami here.
Anushka, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So I was just listening to other brothers that they were talking that similarly, we are also closed, our society is closed, and the devotees cannot come, but we are giving them that all these spiritual guidances over telephone, and also all our classes and discourses on the live streaming. So that way we are trying to help them. So this is the way we are doing. And every day we are praying to a goddess Durga to remove this misery and humanity. Today also, from 11 to 12, I gave the talk on the spirit. And there I discussed about the Passover and the Easter, and combined with our the conception of the self in the Bhagavata as it explained. And finally, we all prayed that God, please give us forgive us if we have done something wrong. And this humanity is suffering a lot. Now, at least you should help us removing this problem. And we pray to God in this way. I will chant a few lines from the Upanishad and the Veda. Madhubata ritayate madhuksharanti sindhabaha madhirna santoshadhihi madhunakta mutoshasi madhumat partibhagam rajaha madhudaurastu napita madhumanna vanaspati madhumagam astu surya madhirgavo bhavantu naha om madhu om madhu om madhu. May the winds blow sweetly, may the rivers flow sweetly, may plants and herbs are sweet to us, may night and morning be sweet to us, may the dust of the earth be sweet to us, may the heavens be sweet to us, may the trees be sweet to us, may the sun shine us sweetly, may the cows yield us sweet fruit. The sweet means, thank you very much.
Thank you, all the spiritual leaders, for helping the community with your faith leadership. And at this time, we should all come together from different faiths and pray together and help the entire world. Thank you all.
Ramamurthy.
Our next panelist is Dr. Sajani Shah. Dr. Shah, would you please take over?
Good morning and good afternoon. So my next set of questions, we're going to start with Rabbi David Levy. And really the discussion and I guess the questions we want to sort of tackle is thinking about, COVID-19 is a global pandemic, and this is the right time in where unity and having all of our faiths is really important. There's really no distinction between Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Africans, Europeans, Hindus, black, white. This crisis is affecting all of us. So in thinking about that, it's really important to maintain our interfaith dialogue and share our experiences and how we seek comfort during this time. So what I want to open up the initial conversation is about how do we do that? How do we share our experiences between the different faiths? And how do we lean on each other in this dark time of this crisis? So Rabbi Levy, if I can ask you to initiate this question.
So Dr. Shah, that's really, I think, the most, a time right now when that question is most powerful. We sit in the midst of Passover, Easter, we're coming upon Ramadan, we have Vaisakhi with the Sikh and many Hindus celebrating the spring festival. This is a time where people of faith are all celebrating the ideals of freedom and the ideals of springtime when we look for renewal and rebirth. And there's probably nothing more important to us now in the midst of this crisis than finding that sense of renewal and rebirth. And I think, as you just said, one of the things this pandemic has taught us more than anything else is we are all of us in this together. The virus cuts across borders, race, gender, religion. And that's the lesson of interfaith relations as well, that we are all in this together. We are all people of our people of God, however we envision God, people who share in a creator who seeks to see us brought together. And one of the things we've been really proud of at AJC are the varieties of interfaith dialogue. That's a central part of the work of our organization. Here in New Jersey, where I work, we're very proud of a very powerful Jewish Muslim advisory council that's working on hate crimes. And we have the first Hindu-Jewish coalition in the entire country. And it's been an incredible group of people to work with. And just to give you a sense of the things we've done, the Hindu-Jewish coalition has come together a variety of times. There were some incidents of anti-Semitism in Trenton, and the Hindu-Jewish coalition spoke out about them immediately. At the same time, in the last congressional elections, we had in Edison, New Jersey, some Hindu candidates who were the victims of some really awful racially biased and religiously biased flyers that we're putting around town. And we immediately came together to speak against that and talk about the ties that all of us have with each other. And I think that those ties and engaging in that kind of dialogue, engaging in coalition work together makes a huge difference. One of the powerful things our organization's been doing nationwide is bringing together what we call a coalition of conscience, which are people of all faiths and genders and leaders from across the spectrum working together to make, in what has been a very divisive age, a very united group of Americans. And I think, you know, one of the lessons hopefully we come out of this pandemic is that the divisions that have been so toxic to our nation over the last few years, that those divisions are very detrimental to us, and that what we need is the kind of unity that this pandemic has been calling us to engage in.
Yeah, that's really fantastic, Rabbi. I mean, I was going to ask you to share some anecdotes, and you already did, and I really appreciate it. I think the work you're doing in New Jersey is phenomenal, and I think it's really well needed, especially in this time of crisis. I can tell you that even in the hospital, there are not barriers, but you know, physicians and nurses down to the housekeepers, we're all facing this together, and there's no line. I mean, we want everyone to be healthy. We're all in the same fight, and I think the barriers between all of us in terms of our duties in the hospital also are really nicely blurred, because we're all fighting for the same thing, to get through this as safely and quickly as possible. So I thank you for your comments.
Thank you for the blessing of the work you're doing.
Thank you. So I'd like to extend the same question, and if there's any anecdotes that you'd like to share, please feel free to, especially if there's, you know, with this quarantining, it's very hard for your followers to be able to go to the temple, the church, the synagogue, or the mosque, and what it is you're doing as the faith leaders in your community to help with your followers. So I'd like to address this question to Bahi Mohinder Singh, if you could comment on that.
Although this process of lockdown has been both painful and hard for many, it has also been responsible for many informative and interesting experiences, especially that of self-realization. Thus, virus knows no geographical boundaries, nor does it see color, race, caste, or religion. It has reaffirmed a very important message, as mentioned in Sikh scripture, Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Awwal Allah Noor Paya, Qudrat ke sab bande. We as humans are equal. We as humans are one. And the only difference between our lives and death is just one breath, just one breath. The virus, the coronavirus, has brought our lives to stand still as we know it. But water, air, fire, earth, and sky continue with the beauty of life. Once again, the message to us as humans is that we are just guests on Mother Earth, not master of the earth. And as spiritual caretakers, we can remind the world to turn their worries into worship, to talk with God, when they feel alone, to lean to him for support and to completely trust him. But it is the brave, selfless, and dedicated healthcare professionals who are truly God's miracle hands, for they are working tirelessly to relieve our every sorrow by giving the priceless gift of care. For them, Gurbani says, which dunya sev kamaiye, tan dargah besan paiye. In the midst of this world, do seva, selfless service, and you shall be given a place of honor in the court of the Lord. So all the guidance from Holy Scripture, Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, encourage us to help each other. We are the children of one Creator. When we're going to fight together, any tackle, we will win over it. God bless all, that we may be together and fight this pandemic, coronavirus.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments and sharing your experience. Lama Sean Jones, if you can give us some thoughts on your take on this question.
Well, that was so beautiful, what was just said. I would just like to reinforce that, you know, we are one humanity, all in this together. And I personally also work in the healthcare industry in the hospital. And the feeling amongst all the people is that it is a unity of togetherness and the fragileness of life, the impermanence. People are really looking inward and realizing that we take a lot for granted, and are appreciating the blessing of life. And it's important that we support each other in this discovery, because we're not used to such self-discovery on such a mass level. And so it's important that different traditions really embrace others, because we all have the same fight and the same life that we are preserving. In my own life, my wife is Catholic. So we have an interfaith marriage, and it's the same struggle that we have, trying to survive, trying to day in and day out, and finding that peace and that comfort, and being able to support others in the community and the co-workers especially, who are struggling and worrying about bringing the virus to their families. So really, it is this support system that is our last defense of helping each other in an altruistic way, giving everyone what they need to help them do their jobs.
Yeah, I completely agree. And hopefully the silver lining in this crisis situation that we're going through is that we're going to maybe take a step back, and the things that we take for granted, just being able to go see your mom or go see a loved one, and the things that we are so, at this point, you think about the things that people fight about or kill each other over is so minuscule, where we actually have control over that. So hopefully that will be the silver lining that will just bring us closer together, regardless of faith or race or religion. So thank you for that. Father Abichako, if you could give us some extra thoughts on your beliefs on how we can, as our different faiths, extend that dialogue and support each other as we go through this pandemic.
Sure. What I've really noticed is, and thanks to everybody who spoke prior to me, very much along the same lines, we've seen COVID-19 as the coronavirus as this great unifier that has no bounds and no lines, as you mentioned. But I think what's become more important is to instill this continued hope in the resiliency of mankind. I think every faith tradition has some sort of, overcoming struggle, overcoming hardship, and relying on a God, relying on a higher power that carries them through, and that faith in that God allowing them to overcome their adversity is much something that we have to reinstill in our people if they've lost hope. And I think across the board in all the faith traditions, if we can reinstill that hope, I think especially during as the rabbi was mentioning, during these times where normally people would be out and about in their places of worship, even outside, and they're being restricted, we have to be able to be that point of contact, or to be able to reinstill that hope in humanity. And I think what we've seen is, especially because of the global nature of this, we've been relying on people from other countries and other faith traditions to kind of give us a heads up. We know as this disease has traveled across the world, we're hoping that every time a different community engages with the coronavirus, that they're doing better at containing it and taking care of it and doing all the things that they need to minimize its effect. And I think this global vision and this wider appreciation for the effect that it has on humanity, and the way that we can all come together, I think that's really at the heart of it all. And I think if we can go back to our faith traditions and reinstill this idea of there is a hopefulness in our traditions, there's a reliance on the divine, but it is still the spirit of mankind, is what's in our hearts that allows for us to overcome. And that's what we've been given, whether it, through the image that we've been given, as Christians believe, the image of God that they've been given inherently, and the capacity for humans to overcome. So I think that's what's really been at the heart of it all over the past few months that I've seen. Past few weeks that I've seen, and a lot of the people that I've talked to, they need that sense of hope. And I think we as religious leaders and as medical professions can give that to them if we take the time to listen and to spend time with them.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that. I know a lot of the attention gets poured onto the healthcare workers, the physicians and nurses, but really the spiritual leaders is our support system to get those that have a loved one, can't see them, someone has passed away, can't get to the funeral. We really appreciate all the dedication and time that you lend to your followers to get them through this crisis. So I'd like to move on to Mufti Hafiz Hamad Rabbani to share your thoughts.
Yes, thank you everyone who spoke prior to me, and well said, well done. As in this regard, one thing is very obvious, that it's brought everyone together, no boundaries, no religion, on the basis of humanity. As Quran spoke, said, يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. In this verse of the Quran, it speaks that God has created us from one single soul, male and female, Adam and Eve. And then He made us into tribes and the communities just for the introduction. And this is the time that we need to realize and recognize our base, our humanity, and come together and help each other on the larger scale, help to the humanity and help each other to come out from this. And the best way to do is, I would see in the light of, like instructions we have, that we all need to turn back to God and repent on our bad deeds and try to rectify our situation, and then submit to the Almighty and beseech His mercy from Him. And He will be healing us, and He will cure us, and He will take out from this difficulty That's all I hope and pray. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your blessings. Okay, I think we're going to move on to the next question.
Hi.
I have a few housekeeping. Can you unmute me? Yeah. There's a few housekeeping thing I need to talk about. If you have any in audience, if you have any questions, please text your questions to Dr. Rajam Ramamurthy at 210-787-8802 or Dr. Jayesh Shah at 210-289-5946. I repeat, Dr. Rajam Ramamurthy, 210-787-8802 or Dr. Jayesh Shah at 210-289-5946. As we move on, I want to recognize there are several leaders from Indian Embassy who are joining us, and I want to thank them for joining. And we also want to thank Dr. Sudhir Parekh for helping us with media, API Media, so who's also with us today. With that, I'll ask Dr. Sudhakar Janlagada to move on and with the panel and ask the question to Dr. Swami Atma Ananda.
Namaskar, Swamiji.
Namaskar.
My name is Sudhakar Janalagada. I thank you very much for your presence and other spiritual leaders for their blessings today for entire humanity. We are suffering with this terrible pandemic. The question is, what role do faith organizations play in motivating the people to follow the rules during an epidemic? Will some of these practices serve humanity if it become a way of life? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the wonderful question. As you have already heard, all our the other respected spiritual leaders, religious leaders, they were talking that the two approaches that we can see is a problem, the coronavirus, completely unknown. So the one approach through the science, and the science they have noticed, and there's we call it external approach. And the scientific approach, externally they are researching, they're trying to find out almost all over the world in different laboratories. They are trying to find out a solution to this, a medicine to this problem. But now they have decided that keeping distance is the only way we can save ourselves. This is one approach. And we, the spiritual leaders, the religious leaders all over the world, and this one thing, we have become very much unified. Because of this, we have become really, really unified, and removing all the differences, every one of us, we are praying and talking about the unity, and so that the humanity can be saved. Our approach is internal, and we say that we should be strong mentally. The science, the doctors and the medical workers, they're wonderfully working. They are in the forefront. Hats off to them. I was reading the small anecdotes. The doctor came back, and this small little girl of 5 years, she came to the father, but father from distance told, "No, you cannot come to me. I cannot talk to you." So the child couldn't understand. She started crying. Father also started crying and telling, "I will leave you afterward." So this is the way things are going on. So life is completely different now in every aspect, but still we have to survive. We cannot just give up and say that, okay, we are defeated. Here is the role of religion. The religion, they go and tell that this is a passing phase. Look at the history. So many different problems came, and in a different way, they wanted to kill the humanity, but the humanity survived. This time also we are going to overcome. Have patience. How to? Then the Hindus approach meditation, prayer, and this way individually. And we, the Hindus, constantly telling, as because you are getting an opportunity to stay alone, aloof, So why don't you utilize it, increasing your spiritual power? And what is that spiritual power? Love and unselfishness. So that we can see in the society nowadays. And one Hindu person died in India, I came to know, and there was no one to carry that dead body to the cremation ground. And some of the Muslims neighbors, they came and they carried the dead body to the cremation ground. And the same way opposite, the group of Muslims who were coming, the laborers, not having the food, all the Hindu community came forward to help them. So this is called spiritual approach, and to developing the brotherhood and to help them with the courage. The God is there, He is Almighty, pray to Him, and we are going to overcome this. And this we are surely going to overcome. Everything normalcy will come back. Maybe we will lose many of our friends and relatives and known faces, but after this great problem, the humanity is going to be successful and humanity is going to win. So that is what I pray, and I fervently believe in this. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Dr. Ramamurthy.
Yes, I would like to request Dr. Yasmin Ansari to take over.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by thanking President of API, Dr. Suresh Reddy, for getting us all together for this beautiful gathering. We've heard such clarity of thought and wonderful prayers from all our spiritual leaders who are here. Thank you all for being here. Our Rabbi, Father, Imam, Panditji, everybody who's here, and you'll have given us such excellent thoughts on all of the questions asked. Also, thank you for encouraging your communities to practice social distancing and helping efforts of containment of this deadly disease. And the last thing that our last speaker said was also extremely enlightening, which was to share an approach of, spiritual unity in overcoming the stresses that this pandemic has placed on all of us. My question is, I'll begin with asking Father Avi Chacko my question. Father, could you please share some words of wisdom for the healthcare community, all healthcare providers, about being sensitive to the families of our patients and to patients themselves of their spiritual needs in the context of this pandemic? A lot of hospitals and nursing homes are in lockdown and not allowing visitors. So there are an unusual set of stressors that have been added to the illness leading for one to be hospitalized or in a nursing home facility. We would love to hear from all of you words of wisdom about how we should be sensitive to patients and families' spiritual needs at this time. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the question. I really appreciate the question because I think very often when we're working in the health field, and also because of our cultural background, we generally like to, sometimes we become myopic in our surroundings because we only see what's directly in front of us. But to be able to consider our job, or not just as a job or a profession, but to see it as a ministry itself, to see it as a vocation, a calling. We've all been called from wherever we grew up and wherever we went to school to this place and to this time. And I feel like if we see our profession as a ministry, we have to realize that we have the capacity to set the tone, especially in the treatment of patients, to set the tone for their entire experience through this COVID epidemic. And I think, especially being on the front lines, and even not being on the front lines, but even taking care of your family members, if we can offer that just even a small bit of compassion, it goes a long way. And I think if we're able to set the tone for them, I think we will all agree that our physical well-being very often is greatly impacted by our spiritual and mental well-being. And I think if we can set the tone for the people that we're entrusted with, I think it very much has a great impact on them. And I think also to be confident in the fact that this is a pandemic. This is something that is real happening. We're seeing the death, we're seeing the suffering. And I think not to see it as a reflection of our capacity as a healthcare worker, as a doctor, or as a nurse or an administrator. The consequence of the disease is what we're seeing. It's not necessarily a consequence of our weaknesses or insufficiency. So to have that boldness also in the workplace is very important during this time. And I think to be able to balance that when we're engaging with patients and we're engaging with family members that may be ill, I think will help in a great way. And as I said, to come away from this idea of going about it as a job, but really understanding as a calling, as a vocation. And as a vocation, we don't have a choice to step away from it. It's our calling. It's inherent to who we are and in our identity. And I think if we take that approach, a lot of the things that we're seeing can be slowly overcome. It's not something that I would say is easy to overcome, but it gives us a direction and a path to take. So I think that's something that we have to really keep in mind.
Thank you, Father. And thank you, Dr. Ansari. We are moving on to finish the group of questions that we have chosen. And we will come back to some of these questions which seem to be so pertinent. Dr. Shah.
All right. The next one is Dr. Birendra Marwa, and he will ask question to Lama St. Jones.
Thank you. Lama Jones, you don't know me, but I know you. 6 months ago, you officiated at a wonderful Buddhist wedding ceremony in Cicero when my good colleague, Paul, got married. What a joyous moment that was, Lama Jones. 6 months later, we are in such a different situation. First, my personal thanks to you for joining us at such short notice. Thank you so much. As all the faith leaders are talking, each one of you is giving us strength, giving us energy, giving us a different perspective, making us realize we are not alone. It is very healing. So thank you to all of you who are on the line. The reality of the situation is that physicians, nurses, hospice aides, I happen to work with a hospice organization, technicians, pulmonologists, anesthesiologists, and the list goes on and on and on and on. While the rest of the world, for all the right reasons, is in isolation, these medical healthcare workers of every category are actually in the forefront. They are there. Many of them, unfortunately, have already died. And before this whole thing ends, I know more people are going to die. We know that's going to happen. So Lama Jones, my question to you is, how would you console the family of some healthcare worker who loses their loved one in this battle?
Well, thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm very honored to be with this distinguished group and yourself, who of course I remember very well. As family members, we ourselves have to be grounded in our own faith and to really benefit others. And our family members or friends who are healthcare professionals going through this are battling things so deeply that we can't really imagine what it's like to maybe be the last person that someone dying is going to see, somebody they don't even know, a patient. Like was said earlier, this is a calling, a sacred vow of healthcare workers that's so inspiring. The devotion to their practice, to their profession, to medicine, to others. I feel the only hope is to go in with a sense of altruism and compassion, and for the family members to be as understanding as possible, to give the needed space for the healthcare workers. Give them space to be alone, to mourn, to cry, but we need to support them with a compassionate heart and understanding mind. We have to listen to them, but also not make them have to talk now. The only way that we can take care of others is to take care of ourselves. This is going to be a marathon and not a sprint. And we need to have this self-care. We need to meditate. We need to eat well. We need to be healthy, keep our own immune systems up. As family members, we can eat together, and we can even prepare food for others to take to work with them. Clean food is so hard to get now. And we need to listen to their experience and give the comfort and love and support, and keep a positive attitude, knowing that this is the human experience. Suffering is part of life, and we can overcome it. And to bring that positivity to others will spiral and uplift others' spirit. It's the strength of our faith that will help us do this. We truly are in this together, and we need to rely on one another and rely on ourselves and our spiritual tradition, our practice, to truly benefit others. So I pray and thank every one of you for all of the work that you're doing for humanity in such an altruistic fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Lama Jones.
Dr. Ramamurthy.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Anupama Gotimukula, who will be asking the next set of questions. Anu.
Thank you, Rajam. And I'm Dr. Anupama Gotimukula. I'm an anesthesiology by profession and Vice President of AAPI. And thank all of you for coming together today. And it's so soothing and it's giving us some kind of a mental peace listening to all of you. And my question today is to Mufti Hafiz Ahmad Rabbani. I know in the hospital, our patients daily get their prayers bedside when they go for surgery. And also in the ICU, we call their priest to come and do prayers bedside. But this situation, we cannot go. Even the family cannot go and see their family when they are sick in the hospital or ICU. My question to Rabbani ji, what hardships are faced by faith organizations during a pandemic of this magnitude? Can you share any anecdotes?
Thank you very much. This is obviously, it's a very difficult time, not only a single community, for each and every person and every community, and what we are going through. Like you said, most of the time we can ask a priest or a spiritual leader to come and say prayers that suits them. It is a very difficult time when they leave this world. They want to have some spiritual sayings and whatever they believe. They know they are going to meet their Creator and their Lord and their Sustainer, and they're leaving this world. It is very, very difficult time. In this type of timings, what we see nowadays, you just say prayers over the phone, and even the phone cannot be close to them. Just on the speaker phone, you pray and you do some prayers, and they will listen and they get some comfort, and sometimes they started repeating after you. Otherwise, they get some kind of comfort through that somebody is praying for them, and they at least can listen to it. And this is the time, like we need to give them the comfort in the sense they need to be reminded that you are going to be in a better place than you are right now. Because in this world, we suffer, we struggle, we go through a lot of difficulties and hard times. When we go to our Creator, He's the one who will receive us with His compassion and His infinite mercy. And He is the one who has so much mercy. If you compare to His mercy is more than anything. And according to one tradition, I remember from Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he mentioned he had the compassion, the mercy. If you divide his mercy into 100 portions, if you divide his mercy into 100 portions, he kept 99 portions of that mercy for himself to deal with us when we meet him. And he sent only 1% of his mercy in this world, through which we see all types of love, like mother give love to his children, and even the animals, all of them, human beings, all animals. Whatever you see, the compassion, the mercy, just a part of 1% of the God's mercy. And God has 99% of mercy. He kept it for himself. When we go there, we will deal with it. Because of that, we do this kind of, prayers, and we pray them, especially when we find out there's something going on like this. We talk to their family members, and you comfort them. They are in need of to be comforted. And then the person who's dying, sometimes the person who's dying, he is not even in his cautious, but you pray for them. And the anecdote, I can remember one of the story. It's a person, he was, not particularly in COVID-19, but when you take care of the God's creation, how God take care of you. That is the beauty of God. Sometimes He does not help you directly. You don't even understand. He asks us and He wants us to help the humanity. Then He will help you in a way that you don't even realize. I remember one of the story. There was a person in Egypt, and he has, all of a sudden, he developed his some kind of disease, heart disease. He went to doctor, and he found out that his all veins are blocked, and is in danger. You had to go and travel one of the European countries. We cannot do it here. It's a very risky surgery. He went to Germany, and in Germany he went to doctor, and he has all this X-ray and everything. They said it is a very dangerous surgery, and there is a 50-50. You may survive, you may not survive. When he heard this, he said, okay, let me go back to my country and see my relatives and some of my friends, just to say goodbye to them. I'll be back. The doctor warned him, come back quickly. You don't have much time. He said, okay. And he came, and he was there, like in the morning walk, he was just walking some, one of his areas he used to live. He saw, like a lady, she is picking up leftover, like pieces of bones from the meat shop. She is collecting those. And when she was collecting this person was walking by, And he happened to stop there and he asked her, "What are you doing?" She then said, like, "I'm collecting this piece of bones that are useless for this, like sharp person." And then he asked, "Why are you collecting them?" "Because my daughters, they are home. They did not have any meat in 2 years. They did not have any meat. And this is the meat for them. I'm just speaking of this." When he found out this, he got, like kind of shaky. And he went to the meat shop owner and then he asked him, like, "Look at this lady. She will come every week and you give her whatever she wants." And he paid him for the full year. That's all he did. And then he went home. And after he went home, his daughters, like he looked at him and he said, she told the father, "Dad, you look like different today. What happened to you? Your face is, like shiny, is glowing. Something happened to you. What happened?" He said, "Nothing. I didn't do anything." They said, "No, you look so different today." And anyway, like he finished his time, he went to Germany. Before he went to surgery, the final checkup, they took him his X-ray, and the X-ray was so clean and clear. There was no traces of, like blockage or anything. And then the doctor asked him what type of treatment you did back home. He said, "I did not do any treatment." They said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah, I didn't do any treatment." Then he said, "Just think about yourself. What did you do?" Then he remembered, "Yeah, I remember only one thing what I did. I did this." And then the doctor, he said, that must be it. That must be it to cure everything for him. And this is the God who cured you, and you are clean, now you can go. And look at this from this story, like when I was reading this, I said, it moved me so much. If you help God's creation without telling anyone, and look at how God treats you and how God helps you, you don't even realize it. That's the beauty of God. Like this is what I like to share, and I hope that you like this story to help each and everyone, especially in this particular situation. We all need help in many ways by helping, like providing food, medical assistance, and even the keeping the distance, also helping others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbani ji, and thank you, my good friend Dr. Mukram Ali, who introduced you to Rabbani ji. Thanks.
Thank you. I have with us also Nissim Rubin. He's the director of Asian American Jewish Committee. He's with us, and I'm going to ask him one question because he's right with us. So we're going to ask him, can you comment on importance of interfaith cooperation and compassion in the face of the pandemic?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Jayesh Bhai Shah, and thank you to Dr. Suresh Gupta and Dr. Suresh Reddy for inviting me on this call. I'm a API friend and supporter from the last 10 years. Attend your legislative day on Capitol Hill every year, and I am the assistant director of the Asia Pacific Institute of the American Jewish Committee. It is a personal privilege as an Indian Jew to work on building the interfaith, intergroup, and the bipartisan political partnerships between the Jewish American community and the Indian American community. And we are working together with the Jewish American community and of course my organization AJC with our interfaith partners, as Rabbi David Levy, my colleague, mentioned, from the Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Christian, Buddhist, and other faiths. But I'd like to give you some personal examples of this Interfaith Alliance. The American Jewish Joint Distribution Committee, which is known as JDC, it is, as AJC is a foreign affairs arm of the Jewish community, JDC is like the USAID, and JDC is working to help vulnerable Jewish communities around the world, but also non-Jewish communities. In India, they have recently supported the Jewish community, but also Muslim and Hindu communities who are affected by this pandemic. And finally, I would also like to give a little example of the quick examples of our cooperation with Indian Americans that we have seen on the ground. HAC in 2008, Dr. Barai on behalf of API came to us asking for help on the US-India Civil Nuclear Agreement, and HAC was the only non-Indian American partner to support this on Capitol Hill, among many others in the faith institutions. That was a tremendously successful effort. We have also taken Indian American leaders to Israel almost every year over the past 15 years. And among our proud alumni, we count your past president, Dr. Sanku Rao, Dr. Bharat Barai, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, Congressman Ro Khanna, and National Security Advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval. So we hope to continue with these interfaith and intergroup relations and strengthening an alliance between the US, Israel, and India, especially in the medical sector. And final sentence is that every August recess, US members of Congress from the Republican and Democratic parties visit Israel. It's like an annual pilgrimage. And that is the month I very much hope to help friends from API also be in Israel at the same time, so that along with our elected representatives and the Indian and US ambassadors based in Israel and the API leadership, we can have a joint evening discussing opportunities for cooperation between the US, Israel, and India, especially in the medical sector. Thank you very much. Namaste and shalom.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rubin. We will move on to the question and answer part of it now. We have few questions, and I'll go with the first one. And I request any of the spiritual leaders and also the panelists to please feel free to answer the question. Please ask if religious leaders will promote spiritual faith among people, that we are one and must not fight with other people of different faiths after the coronavirus pandemic. And let me add to this question, if you have any thoughts about how we transition and how we learn from this experience, and what is it that we need to be changing in our lifestyle. Thank you. Any of the spiritual leaders may go. I can ask Bahi Mohindra Singh.
Yes, this is very question given answer in our spiritual Guru Granth Sahib Ji. There's so many quotes. One I already quoted here. Abul Allah Noor Paya Kudrat Ke Sab Bande. Ek Noor Te Sab Jag Upajya. Kaun Phale Ko Mande. And very good lines. Mati ek anek pant kar saji sajan hare. Na kich poch mati ke pande, na kich poch kumare. It says that all the creation is created by one Lord. We came from one light. We are all one. Abul Allah Noor Apaya Kudrat Ke Sab Bande Ek Noor. From one light, we are all dwelt. Mati Ek, from the same Mati, the God creator created different kind of pots. Like some are short, some are tall, some are black, some are white. And Vani says, Na kuch poch mati ke pande. There's no any problem in his creation. Na kuch poch kumare. His creation is perfect and the creator is perfect. and why we are fighting each other. There are so many quotes. Kiti te kunchar asthula sab par kripa dist kar phula. From Kiti, from ant to elephant. He has created all. All share his blessing. We are living in this world because his blessing. And I have quoted one shabad that gives us strength. Mehirwan Sahib Mera Mehirwan. Merciful, the Lord Master is merciful. My Lord Master is merciful. Ji sagal ko de daan. He gives to everyone. We share his blessing. And he gives his gifts to all beings. Tum kahe dole praniya tad rakhega sirjanhar. Why do you waver, O mortal being? The Creator Lord himself shall protect you. Jin padaish tum kiya soi de adar. He who created you will also give you nourishment. Jin upai medni soi karda sar. The one who created the world takes care of it. And there's great quotation in this. If you want to meet Lord, if you want to be with him, if you want to seek his blessing, jo to priya di sikh heo na tahe shahida. Some of you may understand Hindi. It's Punjabi is very near to Hindi. If there is a desire to meet the Lord, to be one with him, and to seek his blessing, not break anybody's heart, don't hurt anybody. So these guidelines are given so many other religious context also. If we follow them, then we can realize that we are all one. And in daily prayer, Sikh religion, we pray. Tum maat pita hum bark tere, tumri kirpa mein sukh kanere. Oh God, you are our father and mother. In your blessing, we are enjoying our life. If we follow this concept, then whole world become one, and we can realize the oneness of God.
Thank you very much, Singhji. Dr. Shah?
Yes, I think we are at the end of the conference. I'll ask one more. I have quite a few questions, but the time is going to limit us. I'm going to ask one more question. Before that, I want to thank Dr. Mr. Anurag Kumar from Indian Embassy, who is here and joined us in the conference call. And I also want to thank Vijay Kodali and API office, who has done an excellent job coordinating this conference. Last question I have is, how do you address the feeling of vulnerability and sense of duty to serve at the same time? Most of the healthcare workers are frontline, and they feel kind of vulnerable. They're going to have some problem working in the front, knowing that this is a very unknown disease, where we don't know what the cure is. So you have a sense of duty, but at the same time, you feel vulnerable. How do you address that? Anybody can answer that, or otherwise I'll have to give it to someone. Does anybody want to volunteer? You're not going to fall with them, right?
Ask.
I'll ask, is the Swamiji there? If the Swamiji is there, is Atmananda. If he's not there, then ask this question to Lama Sin Jones, if he's there still.
I could do my best. And could you repeat the other word you used, a sense of duty, and there was another?
And being vulnerable, like you're going to catch the disease.
Yeah.
Like you're in middle of that. Every healthcare worker, every nurse, every doctor is in middle of this. But you have a sense of duty, but at the same time they feel vulnerable. They're going to catch the disease. How do you address that?
Yeah, I've heard some doctors even talk about this because in a sense, it's not something you sign up for. There is the vow to protect life and to do everything you can to help, but also to put yourself in such risk is a huge thing to ask of everyone who's working, because it's not only their life, but their families. So I think it comes down to our personal commitment and doing what we feel comfortable and being honest with the hospital staff and administrators when you don't feel safe. I think it's too much to ask somebody to do anything that's reckless, putting themselves in great danger. But if everyone works as a unit and is transparent, then the environment can be clean and can be safer. People can have the at least minimum requirement of protective equipment they need, because they do have to preserve their own health. If the physicians are infected and they infect other physicians, then we have a really bad situation. And one thing I saw that I really agree with is not that they are the front line, but they are the last line of defense against this for society. So we really are indebted to all of the healthcare workers, and that's everyone who's cleaning the rooms and everyone who, the nurses and the physicians and residents and everyone. They're really acting selflessly, and there's really great merit in their service. It's really meaningful work, and I truly am honored to know of the physicians doing this, and I really pray for your well-being and for your success in helping all of us.
Thank you so much. So with that, I would like to conclude this session, and I want to thank the API leadership and Dr. Suresh Reddy for arranging this conference. At the end, I'd like for all of you who have joined today to continue the prayers for the physician, nurses, and healthcare personnel who are in front line, who are ill and admitted to our hospitals. And again, want to keep in our prayers our beloved leaders, Dr. Ajay Lodha and Dr. Anjana Samadar, Dr. Sunil Mehra, who are critically ill at this time. With that, thank you so much and have good rest of the Sunday. Thank you so much and happy Easter and happy Baisakhi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Passover. Shalom. Namaste.